Hey, welcome back. So welcome today. So much to do and a little bit of time, never enough time. Before I continue, I want to also remind you guys to hit that like, comment, and also subscribe to my channel because it really helps me out. I want to show you guys really quickly what's going on. I have 76% of people who are watching my videos are not subscribed. If you really want to communicate with me and get in touch, I built out this LinkedIn profile just for CyberHack. Join up over there and we'll have open discussions. I do plan on creating more groups within my LinkedIn profile on CyberHack, and hopefully we collaborate there and I guess build out a community. I do have other options such as Discord and probably Reddit, so watch out for those things, but I'll mention it as time goes on. So what am I talking about today? I'm talking about Wiz. Wiz, not so much for you older folks, the one that used to have commercials such as this. Yeah, that was like the old school kind of like Radio Shack / Circuit City / your current Best Buy kind of thing, because it sold all types of electronics. But no, wrong Wiz. The current Wiz is more of a cloud-centric infrastructure that does a lot of things, and we're here to explain that today. And at the same time, while I'm explaining all that and what it does, how it can contradict the market because it could favor towards Google because they are acquiring it. $32 billion, all cash deal. Can you imagine that? It's like, wow. It's not even like they're breaking up that 32 billion would it be, making payment plans. It's like one big lump sum. Can you imagine that? It's like winning the lotto, and then I don't want it spread out. I just want it all up front. So let me explain a little bit of what Wiz does. So I do have my notes here and I'm going to go over it. What I want to show you also here is I'll leave it here landing first. So Wiz is a company that does agentless, right? You don't have to install anything. It goes through your cloud infrastructure. Misconfiguration, vulnerabilities, malware, leaked secrets like API keys, and over permissive access. Who can access what? So that's pretty interesting, right? You have this company that sits in your cloud environment, not even as an agent. It's not installed, but it's a service that they provide, and it helps, right? It helps in general, finding little flaws if there are any. They provided services for Google, they provided service for Amazon, AWS, and also Azure, and many other platforms. So I want to show you guys right now, AWS is number one. 34% of the market belongs to AWS right now. Azure comes in second at 21%. Google Cloud comes in at 10%. Alibaba Cloud, I didn't even know Alibaba had a cloud, so that's at 5%. IBM, I'm fully aware of. Salesforce, 3%. Tencent Cloud is 3%. And Oracle Cloud, surprisingly, Oracle, as strong as it is, it only has 2% of the market share platform as a service infrastructure. With that being said, Google's acquiring a lot of talent, right? Organizations, they acquired Mandiant, and now they obviously they acquired more along the way, these little probably smaller mom and pop shops. We call them mom and pop shops, but they're buying things up for like 30 something million dollars, right? So here we have Wiz, right? This is their official Wiz.io website, and of course these are their Fortune 100 company. So there is a little issue here in regarding cybersecurity, not just so on the job market. I want to mention that Wiz is great for cybersecurity on the cloud security front, right? It has all these clients, it has all this, it has a reputation. It was built back in the early 2020s by a former Microsoft and Israeli intelligence expert. So they built this whole company and they've been doing great ever since, up to the point where 5 years later, they're being acquired by Google for $32 billion, which is wow, right? Can you imagine building a company for 5 years and in the standing, you build your reputation and then someone along comes and acquires you, right? So where does this stand as far as cybersecurity roles and what's going on? So I want to show you something right now. Back in February of 2027, Google announces layoff in its HR cloud units as part of the ongoing cost cut. Not here does it ever mention anything about Wiz because there was no talks about it. There was uncertainty. And even if it was in the works, it wouldn't have been something that, definite, right? They don't know what's going on. Of course, Google has all this whole infrastructure sitting in the cloud, right? Android, Chrome, Chrome OS, Google Photos, Google One, Pixel, Fitbit, and the Nest. Wow. I didn't even realize I used so much of their services. I thought I was just on Google Photos and probably, I don't even use the Chrome OS. I don't even have an Android. But of course, I have the Fitbit and I have the Nest. Yeah. So Google is having a big dominance in this whole cloud infrastructure side. On the consumer level, which is obviously outside of the realm of where Azure and AWS sits, because they're more catered towards the businesses. Of course, businesses have a lot of money and a lot of funding, right? But on the consumer level, that's quantity as well, right? You pay. I will admit, my Google Photo, I think I do pay an extra dollar for an extra 10 gigs or 10 or 1 terabyte, something like along the lines of that. I do pay that $1. So imagine if a million people pay that $1. So obviously it adds up. So again, I'm just want to point out here, this was cuts going on back in February. No mention of any acquiring of any new cloud services such as Wiz within this article. Okay, that makes sense, right? And then now we come over to this is where I pulled it from back in February, who was laying off. So Google was one of them here, and it says right here, they're laying off. But that doesn't discount the other companies that have been laying off for the last month. And since January, December, November, and October, layoffs have been going on for quite some time now. Of course, this is not all within cybersecurity. I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty confident, a percentage of that pertains to cybersecurity layoffs, whether it's one guy or two guys or whatever. And I want to say guy is like, people, right? Girl or guy, whatever. We have right now, the thing that we want to focus on is that Wiz. The problem is, I want you to listen to this and you give me your thoughts. What this is going to say is that because Google is a contender in the cloud market at number 3, ranked number 3, because they acquire Wiz, and Wiz do services with Azure and Amazon as well. Now, the one thing that I fear the most as a cybersecurity professional is that having all your eggs in one basket, and that means having one email for everything, putting all your photos online, entrusting it to Google Photos or whatever, other services as well. But now you're relying supposedly a company that was for watching over your security, or if you pay for the service, now being owned by Google. So now they have every right to know or have insight to the organization, even if you're using Azure or Amazon. So it's a little awkward, in my opinion. But let's just listen to this.
Can it be fully integrated into Google Cloud as an offering? Does it compromise their ability to use it as sort of a competitive weapon?
I think at least over the next, again, the deal probably does not close until first half of next year. So probably they'll have a lot of assurances to give to existing customers of Wiz that use AWS or Azure, for example. I think next 9 months they'll probably end up doing that, and beyond that probably they'll provide significant assurances around a certain time period over which Google will continue to support those customers not on Google Cloud. Beyond a certain timetable, I feel this becomes a bundling opportunity, becomes a competitive weapon to have multi-cloud tenants use Google's security and then slowly migrate to Google Cloud, particularly in AI setting. So that's it could be a multi-year journey, and I think that's where that entire market opportunity of AI cloud would start to unfold.
You guys heard that. So what I gathered from that, just that answer was that Google will start implementing the Wiz technology, which is securing the cloud, into their cloud environment, right? Kind of embedding it. Almost like when you install Windows back in the day and Internet Explorer had to just come along with it and you didn't have an option to really uninstall it or choose to install it. That was your first choice of browser because it was right there in front of you. It almost sounds like that. Of course, there was rulings against that. And, obviously that has changed since time. But what Google is doing right now seems very, very tactical to the point where, yes, we're making it more secure. We're buying the brand and we're slapping it on the Google Cloud as people start realizing that Google becomes more secure, almost in the sense where Google Chrome first came out and everyone was just jumping on it. And then, of course, everyone through time, there was flaws or there's, high compromises because it was so popular. And then what I'm thinking is Google is trying to dominate that market. Maybe they're trying to move up to number 2 or number 1 if possible, because as people start having Azure or Amazon AWS in the picture, and they're realizing all the security functions are there already for Google and it's cheaper, people may start to migrate off of that, right? And then what happens to the job market when that happens? Then everyone has to do you know Google Cloud? Because it has a dominance in 2026 when this actually finalizes and that actually starts happening as far as market dominance. So that's why it's really crucial that you have to be open to explore these avenues when that time comes, because I wouldn't omit Google's cloud infrastructure as a service as anything that's obsolete or behind the trends of compared to AWS or Azure. I personally know there's a lot of professional Azure admins and AWS admins, and I rarely know anyone who's on the Google side. So it's rare, but doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. But this trend, because this acquisition may flip all of that. But, right now it may sound like, all right, they're being acquired and there's redundant roles. Google has already laid off people. It's going to be a transition stage, but I feel like people are going to be rehiring because they're going to want to have people with Google experience because of this whole cybersecurity whiz, is going to be a part of Google, and people may migrating because they feel like it's more secure and it has the embedded things that they were using for Wiz in their AWS or Azure environment anyway. You see what I'm saying? Hopefully that makes sense. I love analyzing all this. Of course, this is all my opinion. I just feel like in 2026, when this finalizes, Google will have a higher ranking as far as a cloud infrastructure as a service, and people may start migrating and they start wanting to see what talented people have as far as Google experience in the cloud, not just Azure and AWS. And I keep mentioning the top 2, but of course there are other ones there, which is Alibaba, IBM, Salesforce, Tencent, and Oracle. Not omitting those guys, but I'm just saying top 3 is where I was focused on because it pertains to majority of the current market as far as cloud services. All right. I want to thank you guys for being here. Again, please hit that subscribe. It really helps me out. And I'll see you guys again really soon. Take care.